Welcome to Backstreet Gossip. News talk, current events, and political commentary. And now, here's your host of Backstreet Gossip, Ron Ludders.
In the desert, we still have people that come to the studio and just go crazy.
It's a full studio audience here, and you've added another row of seats, I see.
Oh, well, thank you guys for all that
that's
applause. Awesome. And Ray will give you this, when it's time to applaud, Ray's going to give you the applaud sign. Okay?
Well, yeah, there is the sign. They added the sign.
Yeah, there's the light that says applause. Anyway, welcome to the show, Arizona. Welcome to the show, America, and those of you all around the world. It's a beautiful Monday evening, and Ray, we're on a new network.
We are, yes.
And it is so exciting. It's Wimkin.com. And our special guest tonight is going to be the CEO, Mr. Jason Shepard.
You know, I'm looking forward to meeting him because I've been hearing about Wimkin for many, many months. And now we are on there. And I just want to see, you know, what it takes. I mean, you have to have the fortitude to put something like this together. So I'm excited to meet Jason for the first time.
But before we do that, you know, one of the things that's so nice about Jason, he's kind of like us. We write our own news stories. We do our own reporting, and he's over there running all the dials right at the moment to make sure that the show is going out. So for those of you that are listening through Wimkin, give him a little bit of a break. We're going to have him on the show, but he's pushing buttons and making slides, slide back and forth and so on. So it's really exciting. Ray, did you know what yesterday was?
Was it your birthday?
No.
Was it my birthday?
It was D-Day.
Yes.
But you wouldn't know it, would you, by this president?
You know, unfortunately, no, you would not. I didn't see anything.
It is historical, ladies and gentlemen, that the President of the United States lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington Cemetery. And it's also very proper. Many presidents have gone overseas to Omaha Beach at the American Cemetery.
Right.
And laid a wreath and gave a speech because this was perhaps one of the, it was the largest amphibious assault in the history of the world.
I think one of the costliest as well.
In terms of lives, and many American lives, British lives, French lives, you know, just, and let's not forget German lives. You know, we always think of them as the enemy, but somehow or other having a background in military science, you have to say, wow, are you kidding me? Just because somebody's at war doesn't mean they really believe in the cause. They were just told, you're getting in a uniform, here's your rifle, go.
Right, yeah, you have no decision making.
And so I'm sure that a lot of the German soldiers, it was really funny. I'll tell the story because it's so interesting. One time I met a German fellow in a hospital, and his wife was having some surgery. And I was talking to him, and I was a Tea Party leader, as you remember.
Right.
And very conservative group, the Tea Party. And here in Arizona, we're even more conservative than the East Coast conservatives. And the guy got talking to me, and he just was asking all kinds of questions. He says, you know, I need to know. And he had this German accent. But he's an older guy. And I got to asking him, I said, well, tell me about yourself. When did you come to the United States? And he told me it was after the war. And I said, were you in the war? And he said, yes. And he says, I was fighting on the German side during the war. And I said, let me get this straight. You actually fought for Nazi Germany, and then you're here in the United States, and you're a Tea Party member? I mean, you can't get much diverse than Tea Party and Nazi Germany.
Two sides of the coin, huh? Yeah.
And what a great gentleman he was. I haven't seen him lately. I know he'd been ill. He was well into his 90s, and he might have even passed away. I haven't seen him in years. And, of course, this, quote, Dr. Fauci fiasco, which we're going to talk about tonight, the Dr. Fauci fiasco, Ray, I hadn't seen a lot of people in years. and unfortunately, some of them did pass away.
Yeah.
And so, at any rate, Ray and I have been activists here. Ray has, for those of you that are brand new, Ray, tell us about yourself. You ran for a political office.
I did. I've been very blessed, and I had a chance to travel around the world a few times, almost 100 countries, and I came back here. My mom's getting older in age. And so I did run for state senator for LD24 against Leila Alston, who is our current senator.
And who has been in there, I might say.
We wish her well. She's been in since I was a junior in high school at Arcadia. And
tough to beat.
Yes, it is. Name recognition, of course, is number one. But we've got another election coming up, and I'd like to participate however I'm needed. I'm just here to serve and make sure that we can continue keeping Arizona. I was born and raised here.
And Ray has a servant's heart. And Ray, I can explain what a servant's heart is, but I would like you to tell us what a servant's heart is. And before we do that, I would say a servant's heart isn't somebody that serves in the Arizona legislature for 40 plus years.
No, it's coming to the realization that there's more than just you. It's not about you. You want to be a public servant, a statesman, as opposed to a politician whose goal, once you get elected, is to get reelected and reelected. And then if in Arizona, where we do have term limits, then you go from the House to the Senate, and then from the Senate back to the House. It kind of alleviates it definitely is not the intention of the Arizona citizens, because term limits means we want you in and then we want you out, not just to switch from being a representative to a senator and back to a representative. So the heart of a servant just means that you want to serve your constituents. You've been very blessed by the state, by most are small business owners, or they've been teachers, or our government was set up so that the citizenry could be the representation. And what's happened now is we just get all these politicians, I'll say, that have big financial backing, a lot of times from out of state, so that they get in there to do something. I think we talked about this many times. This last election cycle, millions of dollars were being spent on Senate races where the senator ends up making $25,000 a year. So how is it possible that millions of dollars, a lot from out of state, is coming in? You know that there's outside influences trying to change our beautiful state. Again, I was born and raised here. I've seen what's happened over the years. And you know what? We don't want to lose our liberty and our freedom, our individualism. We don't want to lose that here in this state. It's far too important. I think Barry Goldwater said it the best. We are willing to stand up and fight to keep our liberty and our freedom.
Well, Ray, I've done a lot of genealogy in my life, and I just look at you change. Generations are about 25 years. By the time a child is born, grows up to 25 years, they usually have children of their own, which means in 100 years we will have at least 4 generations. And we have had senators, John McCain, for instance, that had been serving for 32, 35 years, well into a second generation. And that's not service, that's a career. And we all know that once you become so familiar with the system, that you can begin to use the system.
Well, that's the whole point. If one side says we want to stay in office and we have the clout, people are going to reelect them because they can get things done that the other person who's new can't do. And we were not set up that way. We were set up to really get out there and govern ourselves. Self-governance takes, you must have an educated populace, which is so important, which is why we had more schools when we first started. But you have to know when to get in and when to get out. And service is you go in there and you dedicate your time. When I hear of congressmen, senators who are on, they get a full benefits after they leave. I mean, this is their retirement. I'm thinking, wait a second. You're supposed to be sacrificing your time away from your family, away from your job. You come in, you serve, and then you go back to your family and your job. You're not supposed to be on the welfare, the dole of the citizenry. for the rest of your life. Why are they getting retirement for serving in a public servant position? I don't get that.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Joe Biden has served in political office now for almost 40-some years.
You know what that tells me? That if he was in a regular job, he may not be able to keep it. I mean, go out, get a job, either work, start your own business. And I'm not talking about consulting after you've been in for 20, 30, 40 years and you're consulting other people to stay in for 20 and 30 years. Do something. Have a job, have a business. Do something that you were not on the dole of the citizenry. It just doesn't make any
Ray,
sense to me.
this works on both sides of the aisle. I think, we have Pelosi. She's been in there for 30, 40 years.
Do you
we have
think
Schumer.
Do you think that any one of them understand what day to day a regular person is going through?
No, not at all.
There's no way.
No.
They are the elite of the elite, and that's why we had our revolution, is because there wasn't supposed to be the elite of the elite. There wasn't supposed to be a king or a kingdom or dukes. There wasn't supposed to be judicial overreach. There was supposed to be regular people who are serving their country, and that's where we're supposed to be.
Did that phone go out? I think it's out. So, Jason,
Let me see.
we need to get a hold of Jason one more time. Can you
think
dial
so.
that?
Let me
and
see.
I'll talk. Here's the number. He's probably trying to get in, and here we are talking, and the phone disconnected.
No, I think he may be on. Let me see.
So,
oh, Jason is here.
oh,
Hang on, let me plug it
okay.
in.
Yes. Can you hear us now, Jason? Speak up.
Take the speakerphone off.
Hey, Jason, can you hear us?
He said turn it off.
So I just turned off the speakerphone.
Are you there?
Okay. Yep, I'm here.
Oh,
All
fantastic.
right. Hey, did we do a good job?
Well, let's give an introduction.
Well, we will. But I wanted to ask you, did you get everything rolling here while we were covering for you?
Yeah, I was on hold there for about 5 minutes trying to tell you everything was ready. So I guess maybe just
I think the phone went out of service, but we were looking, and you told us it would take you about 20 till the hour, and it said 18 minutes to the hour, so we're right on time. This was cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
perfect. Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen, this is Jason Shepard, and he's quite a young man, and there's a picture of him on the screen. And we're really excited about him. We have one of the ladies that came in here and told us about him, and that he started this organization called Wimkin. And as you all know, anybody that's really been involved with social media knows that we are being, shall we say, challenged to speak honestly about issues.
Stifled, maybe?
Stifled is another way. And first of all, it's interesting because Ray's he's the color guy. I mean, not the colored guy, the color guy.
Thank you. I'm trying to get a tan.
Yeah, and you're doing a good job. I'm the white guy here. Look at me. I've been inside too long. But at any rate, one of the things that Ray always tells our audience, and we want to say that right up front tonight, tell them what we always say about what we present on this show.
Listen, we present what we have researched, what we have found out, and we want everybody to decide. Don't believe us. Don't believe everything you see. Don't believe everything you hear, but reason for yourself. And that's what's so important, is that for some reason, if somebody says it, oh, it must be true. If it's on the internet, oh, it must be true. Oh, if I see it on mainstream media, it must be true. Well, that's not always the case. And we always tell people, do your own research. Do it for yourself. This is important. Jason, it's Ray Michaels. We want to welcome you here to the show. I want to hear all about you.
Okay,
Thank you.
And if you don't mind, tell us how you got into this business, because it's crucial that freedom of speech lives forever in America, and I know that's your mantra. So let's hear your story. This is great.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again, Ray. Very nice to speak with you. Well, gentlemen, so I want to say back in May, I really started noticing how Twitter was, and obviously Facebook too, was starting to really, the term for me is censor. I mean, they are all about one narrative, and it's their narrative. And realistically, what really put me over the top to actually go ahead and do this and drop money into it, and 80-hour weeks into this, was when Twitter censored President Trump. And that was the tipping point for me, because if they can censor President Trump, they can censor anybody, and they certainly will.
That's right. So what is your background, Jason?
So my background's pretty much, I worked in civil and criminal law for a while. I did financial planning a long time ago. And, I've just learned over the years certain IT and coding, and, realistically, was almost always part of the corporate world until I started, this company. So.
Wow. Jason, I can remember back in grade school, and people were so childish. Of course, you're children in grade school, right? But I thought, you know what, when I get into high school, everybody's going to be more mature. They're going to be more businesslike. And you get in high school, it's the same thing. And you think, you know what, if I get into college, and then it's the same. And if I get into the business world, people are going to be, they're going to be more businesslike. If I go to a Fortune 500 company, they're going to be more business. And I've just found that no matter where you go, those same people are hanging out that are making decisions, but they're really not basing it on the good of the people. They're basing it on their whims of the time. And I saw this happening. I don't have an experience like you do, being in the corporate world and knowing the IT side. But thank you so much for stepping up to the plate and seeing the direction that they were heading. And now we know what their ultimate goal was, and they continue on that. Thank you for doing that. I'm curious about the name, Wimkin. Now tell us about that.
Okay, so WMKN actually stands for World Must Know. It's just an acronym, WMKN. However, when we were in the app stores, no one would really be able to find that. You know what I mean? So basically, it's just WMKN sounded out, so WMKN. And again, it stands for World Must Know. And I started back in, I want to say, April or May before I started WMKN, and this is of 2020. I started a sister site called worldmustknow.com, and that's where it all stemmed from, because I used to get literally thousands of emails a week about this site and how people want to contribute with it and put their own articles up, and instead of, it's just not feasible to do it on a site like that. So I started doing the social media platform to where it would just be a lot more user friendly, easy, and people can actually link up. And I mean, essentially we're a Facebook that's, I don't want to say uncensored, because we censor pornography, nudity, and any type of criminal activity.
Right.
But we're a free speech, no fact checking, no jail time, social media site with pretty much everything you can do on Facebook, you can do on WMKN.
So are you more like a Twitter or more like Facebook? Where do you sit, or are you a combination of both?
We're about, I'd say 95% Facebook, 5% Twitter. We are going to build in a follow feature, because a lot of people want to leave Twitter and they're used to just the follow feature. Mm-hmm. So, but we have the ability for individuals to have unlimited friends. Like I think my first account had over 140,000 friends, and then
Wow.
it just became too much for me to handle. So,
Wow.
it's to the point where, individuals will message you for help, and it was overwhelming. Unfortunately, I wish I could message everybody back, but it's just not possible on that level. But yeah, I'd say it's I mean, you could live stream. I don't know if you could do that on Twitter or not, because I've never really been on there, but you can video chat. We have a messenger. We have literally everything, like a marketplace. We also are going to be the first platform to actually accept cryptocurrency, and people can actually pay each other on the marketplace with cryptocurrency. So we're a little bit ahead of the game there.
Well, Jason, this is Ron again, and I know that you started this probably during the most difficult period of time that I can recall in U.S. history, at least in my lifetime, and
Sure.
that is right in the middle of this pandemic, when that's one of the few ways that we could communicate was through Zoom and radio and television,
Sure.
and it's been very, very difficult. You've done a marvelous job, but it
Thank
hasn't
you.
been without peril. And, if you don't mind, I know you and I have discussed this a little bit, because I'm not really good at figuring out all these, how to get on and how to get off. And it wasn't for you, I'd still be probably playing around. And you have suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune as well, by Apple and some of the, perhaps Google. Tell us what happened, and I know you've got some good news to tell us.
I do actually have some good news to tell you, for sure. Well, I guess we can kind of save that towards the end of this little, aside that I go on here. But so realistically, I started this platform in August. We ran a beta test in September. So this is how new this is. We're not even a year old yet. We're roughly 9+ months old. And during that time frame, especially towards around the election time, the first debate night, we started getting extreme attacks. I mean, we're talking about, 6 million attempts to get into our servers in 1 hour's time during the first debate. So, and they were from Ukraine, they were from China. These are all places that we actually have since shut off. However, there's only so much you can do in this case. So, major DDoS attacks, denial of service attacks, but and that was where it all started. We used to get attacked all the time. We used to have people signing up for fake profiles to try to make our, us look non-reputable, so to speak, or realistically having individuals in people's inboxes trying to make it like a dating site. So just really trying to cheapen anything we were doing. So that's still a challenge today because people try to create spam bots all the time. But so even further down the line here, moving forward, after the election and things, it toned down a little bit. But then once we got towards the perceived insurrection, GoDaddy, which is the only place, they're actually out in your area.
Yes, they are.
Well, before that, we also used a server company out in your area as well, and they canceled us. And then right after they canceled us, GoDaddy actually, again, we just registered a domain with them, but they ended up saying they wouldn't house our site, so they shut it down. And we've had plans for this. It wasn't like Parler where, they had billions of dollars in investor money and they didn't back themselves up. But we actually had, a plan B. But so, and then after that, in pretty much the mid-January to end of January, both Apple and Google Play removed us, stating that we were, allowing posted incite violence and organization of violence against the government, and really perceiving January 20th as the date. We got very much erroneously blamed for the insurrection.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well,
and at that time, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and at that time too, I mean, we were making really good money in ad money. I mean, we were unfortunately having to kick up to the beast, which is Google, but we ran really small non-intrusive ads on our site, and we were making really good money at that point in time to actually sustain and grow our platform. And when Google Play and Apple kicked us out of their stores, we lost all of that.
Oh,
so
boy.
it was a legitimately planned out attack, no doubt about that.
Jason, you mentioned Parler, and I know that a lot of key conservatives, Mark Levin, several of the other ones were really
I think
promoting.
Bongino was on.
Bongino, yes. A lot of them were heavily promoting Parler. And then, of course, we all know the story. We don't have to go through that again. Have you been looking to some of those high-profile conservative talk show hosts and promoters to promote Wimkin?
We have. We actually just picked up really our first one because we were going through all this. I mean, it's hard to really do this and grow when you're not in the App Store. I mean, it really is. We were like Parler was, we were #1 trending on several different dates. We were usually in the top 10 social media platforms in the world in terms of what's being downloaded, or just social apps, not platforms. But just for trending apps and whatnot. But and Parler, actually, I reached out to Dan Bongino personally because he's a minority owner of that, but he pushes it and he says they fight big tech tyranny. But it's unfortunate. I don't like to bash anybody else or other platforms, but they sold out to Apple. They say they fight big tech tyranny, but they changed their whole moderation system just to get back in the App Store. So, and there's other things that even your listeners, like you say, do your own research.
Right.
If anybody was to either internet search Google or otherwise, DuckDuckGo, if they just put in the word 8 or the number 80 and then TB for terabyte Parler, you'll see how many people got arrested because they didn't scrub their metadata from their GPS. And most of the individuals who got arrested at the insurrection was because Parler gave them up.
Wow.
It's really bad. It's really, really bad. And so it hurts me to see that people still go there and they don't know these things. But, it's another thing too with them was the fact that they had 6 million people's IDs, and then Amazon Web Services just took everything.
Wow.
I mean, that's very serious. And then when it comes out that John Matz, their CEO, used to work for AWS, it's just a very awkward situation. So
when you see these giants like Google, like Apple, when you see these giants being able to devour anybody who even attempts to come up to compete. I mean, that puts you in a very unique position. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of individuals who on our platform that are, very tech savvy, and they were ones that were telling us that, they thought every time that something would happen with our platform, I was very transparent with it. I even listed emails from the server company that I just won't mention because obviously they're local, and two, I don't like to put people's business out there like that. But but I would list those emails and just obviously redact, their contact information to say what they're doing and what's happening. And a lot of it was their support system trying to show where these attacks were coming from. And a lot of people thought they were coming from Apple, and they thought they were shutting our app down, and they thought that it was going to be, Facebook that was actually looking to hurt us because we were marketing on Facebook. I mean, I was getting maybe 10,000 of their users a week without doing anything but, little posts in Facebook groups about us. So, I could see that would probably make, a Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't even know who we are, but anybody who's paid to do their job to monitor something like that, I could see how that would get under their skin.
Well, Ron, I know you're concerned with us. We were shut down as well on YouTube just for providing information, and we even, like you said, we place a disclaimer. We say, look, don't believe us. Do your own research. This is what we found. But when you're talking about something like these social media groups where people can get in and infiltrate, and really, I mean, they're coming against you and your company. What can we do as well? You know what? Let me go back just a little bit. We wanted to thank you because we had over 70,000 people watching the show just last week when you put that out. So we thank you.
72,000, I believe.
72,000.
Yeah, and us doing this at it's now roughly 10 o'clock my time, Eastern Standard Time. That was pretty much through the night for much of the the West Coast here. I'm sorry, not for West Coast for you guys, but East Coast for us. And obviously through we have a lot of UK users, we have a lot of Australian users. So, and we stream Wendy Bell in the same manner in the morning. So we had to pull you down probably about 8:30 to get her ready.
Right.
So you got to realize that was through the night on the first run. So and how we also tell you what views are, because it's very. You have people click on on your Facebook or however people actually do this on YouTube. If they stay on your show for less than 10 seconds, they'll call that a view. We actually will time this and let people sit because we put it right on their homepage. If they stay on their feed for more than 10 minutes, that's one view. So not everyone can sit and watch the show for the whole time, but I think 10 minutes is a good, indicator of what actually.
And if I may interrupt here just for a minute, we're reaching the top of the hour, and we're not gonna take a break here. But I do want to tell your listeners so that if anybody is saying, "Hey, it's too late, I'm going to bed," we're going to have the gentleman on after we finish with you, and he will be the gentleman that got us in trouble. We love him to pieces. Peter Martin is his name, and he does a lot of really remarkable work, and we're going to have him on, and he's going to show a little bit of the remarkable work that he has done. But we were dropped off of Facebook for this. We appealed it, and they didn't even go into our appeal. The reason I asked Ray to make this statement up front is to where we're at. There's nothing that makes us necessarily correct or omnipotent with what we say. It's just one of the voices out there in the wilderness that you ought to be listening to make your own decision, and that's what we're big into that. Now, I just wanted to tell your viewers that may be looking at the clock and saying, we've seen enough. Stick around because we've got a couple of really phenomenal. We're going to have Peter Martin, who's the one that has dealt with COVID-19. He is also the one that has talked many moons ago about Dr. Fauci. So you're going to get one of the early reports on Dr. Fauci. And then we're going to have Liz Harris.
Right.
And we call her Rockstar Liz, and she's going to tell us what has been going on in Arizona about Arizona State Senate audit, and as we call it, America's audit.
America's audit, yes.
Great, that's great.
So we want you all.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want all your listeners to stand by. We're not going to take a break here. We're going to keep going with you. But I did want to ask you, as far as I can see, You have had some phenomenal growth. Tell us about that.
Well, we have, and I think that's honestly why we were removed from the App Store, because when during the election we would get 10 to 15,000 users daily downloading the apps, and that's not even counting web registrations. I was actually really surprised to see how many desktop users we have, because we can kind of see their systems, what they're just coming in. We can't obviously detect anything. That's one thing we do not do. I'm not going to lie, we don't even verify your email address. So we're still leaning on that. We don't compile data. We don't have anything, but we can see if you're looking at in a desktop or on a mobile browser and an app. Mm-hmm. And but we grew to about 900,000 users in 9 months. But
wow,
it's been slow going since the App Store. We probably only gained, I'd say, 100,000 since then. Maybe more than that. But
well, Jason, for those who are watching the show who don't mm-hmm. know about Wimkin, how can they find you? If you're not on the App Store, where can they find you?
Okay, so they can honestly just internet search Wimkin, will come up. Also, we do have a Facebook page we use. They keep shutting it down, but we are, they of course are going to do that. But and our website is wimkin.com. That's WIMKIN.com. And we also just partner with Windy Bell Radio about 2 weeks ago, and Wendy has a national audience of about 275,000 people on her Facebook, and so if anybody listens to her, they can kind of pay attention and see that she promotes us a lot, and we do the same. But yeah, that's it. And I will tell you this, because Ron led into the fact that we have good news. Without compromising our stance on free speech, Apple agreed to let us just remove uncensored from our binary name, meaning that our app name will just now be Wimkin Free Speech Social Media instead of Wimkin Uncensored Social Media. And we have to remove jail time from our description, and that's all we had to do to compromise our integrity.
That's wonderful.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm very
awesome.
happy about that. That's a big win for everybody involved in this.
Now, you were mentioning Dan Bongino. Most of our listeners know who that is. Mm-hmm. Have you been courting any other ones that you can let us know? Or I know that sometimes you don't want to divulge secret things, but
okay.
But Mark Levin would be awesome, because we know where he stands on all the major issues.
Yeah, Levin's one of the best. He is a great one, as Hannity calls him.
That's right.
He is.
You know what? Yeah, I think Hannity was the one who convinced him to come on
the radio,
and start doing the radio shows. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you are correct. But they're still wrapped up in Parler, and I think they're going to be wrapped up in Parler, because I don't know if they have invested into this, or I don't know if they pay them that way. But right. We would offer anybody incentive to come on. First and foremost, one thing that really gets me about people that call themselves true patriots, if they are, they should certainly keep their platforms as long as they can. I just had to. Wendy Bell was using our my YouTube, my personal YouTube. She was using mine because hers was taken down, and then I had her show Friday get ripped off yesterday. I guess, well, actually yesterday through this morning, so Monday morning, and I filed an appeal this morning on it, and I won that appeal. But it was for medical misinformation based on the COVID vaccines. So but it
sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Right? Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it gets me really sad, guys, because you reach out to these guys and you see them all complaining that Facebook's going to shut down my platform. Can you please help? Can you do this? Can you do this? And you do this. Why don't you go find somewhere else to go that actually you can make a difference? Yeah. And it's all about money. That's all. I don't believe in most of these people anymore. They've proven it, because Bongino did invest in a platform that he believed in. I think he got completely bamboozled on that, because he's not a tech person. He's an incredible patriot. He served his country, he served his city, he served on several different levels, tried to run for office.
Right. And Secret Service
as well. Yeah, he's an incredible human being, an incredible patriot. And I don't like to lump him into the Parler, although he is basically its face. But it's just unfortunate, because these individuals don't go anywhere because they won't make the money that Facebook pays them, but they don't understand they're making Facebook that money at the same time.
Right.
Now, I would be remiss I really would tell every single influencer to keep, I have my Facebook page to try to recruit people over. So, but any influencer would be silly not to keep their Facebooks and their YouTubes as long as they possibly can.
Well, it seems as though a lot of people forget that golden rule where you don't keep all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
And yes, okay, well, you'd rather be able to say, I have 1 million followers, then I have 3 different social medias with 500,000 on each one, even though that's more. And so I guess it's a perception from their point, because they want to be able to publicly say we have the most. But for me, I'd rather be on several different ones where I could send to one and maybe it fans out to other ones. Again, I'm not a tech person. I don't know if that's even possible, but it just seems the more the merrier. Would you agree?
I agree. I agree 100%. And I mean, realistically, it's all how you grow. I mean, you can explode across 3 different platforms. I mean, if you cluster, you're always going to be better.
Yeah.
And, so it's unfortunate that, again, people, they'll ride it out and then they'll do the extreme at the end saying, hey, I found this new platform and follow me there. And a lot of people don't want to at that point in time because they just rode it into the ground with them.
So tell me, oftentimes when you get news articles come out, it says, do you want to post it on Facebook? Do you want to post it on Twitter? Do you have one of those icons that they've agreed to put on where you can post it directly to you?
No one has agreed to do anything with us like that. They just like to write news stories about us being, responsible for the insurrection. I mean, we were in the Wall Street Journal. I was actually quoted in the Wall Street Journal. At least I had Business Insider retract one because they were wrong.
Right.
And we had, we were in The Intelligencer, CBS News, NBC News, Fox Business. We were literally everywhere, but not one will share to us. So,
wow.
It's unfortunate.
So when somebody tweets, right, they say, I'm on Twitter, I just tweeted, right? Somebody just tweeted. When you do something like that on Wimkin, what do you call it?
Actually, we call it winks.
Oh,
like
you
you're
just
winking at someone?
You just winked. Oh, that's very good.
Cool.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
By the way, I
awesome.
just want everybody to know, Ray.
Did you just wink at me, Ron?
I did. I just winked.
Actually, I did it too. I winked. I'm not even there.
Thank
and I
you,
winked at you guys.
There you go.
Jason. That's awesome.
But I have agreed. I'm so excited about this format for our show, particularly, that I have written a letter, and Kat has gone over the letter as well to make sure that I'm writing in proper English, and she's a school teacher, so she's going to make sure that it's correct, and we're going to be sending that out and encouraging people to join this format.
And we're encouraging you right now. If you're watching here, go to wimkin.com, sign up for this. If nothing else, you can tell your spouse, your loved one, I just winked at you. I love it. Jason, that's awesome.
The important thing here is it's an old expression that's biblical. If you speak the truth shall set you free.
Yes.
And this is one of the things that we, Ray, you and I, on this radio program promote, and that is free speech. And I was so excited when I first spoke with Jason. We share that value. We understand it. We understand that we are clear-thinking people, and without communications, we're dead in the water.
Yeah.
We can't move forward and do the things that an educated society should do. Yeah. And that's why it's so important, because life is about choices, and you make the choices as to where you go. Without information, there's no choices.
And Jason, there's Dennis Prager is on there, and I love what he says. He says, I prefer clarity over agreement.
Yes.
And it's so important with free speech that you don't have to agree. And what I say may offend you. If you choose to be offended, you may choose not to be offended and just say, you know what, I respect your opinion, you respect mine, but at least we have clarity on where we stand. And for some reason, everybody's gone away from that idea where, look, we can disagree and still work together for the common good. We can still be partners. We can still work. I'm thinking about John Brakey right now. Jason, you know who this is. He's been working with the America's Audit here in Arizona.
Right.
We probably disagree on 99% of the things from socially, fiscally, but we agree on one thing, which is the integrity of the election. So let's work together. Though we may disagree on other things, we can still work together on some things.
And Ray, the good news is we're going to have Mr. Bray. I wanted to have him on the show tonight because I think your audience it's necessary, Jason, for them to hear this man. He is, as I said, he's a Democrat. He considers himself a a progressive Democrat.
Very much progressive.
And yet, he and I and Ray see eye to eye on the integrity and honesty of our system of government and believe it's absolutely necessary for our society to be upfront about the issues, and we look at them from all sides and determine what is best for our community. Now, Breaky there's some things that are going on right now. They're trying to count the ballot images, and we'll get into that when Liz Harris gets here. But it's really going to be exciting. I don't know if you can stick around. I know it's late back there, and we've got.
I mean, if you want to continue, I can. I'm going to listen to the program regardless.
If you'd like to stay on board,
yeah, if you can stay, that'd be awesome.
If you'd like to stay on
Jason
board, I would
have
love
some
it.
questions for Liz and for Alex Culloden as well.
Let's do it if you're willing to stay on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know after 10 o'clock I become a pumpkin, and but I'm old.
Yeah, but the carriage is waiting for you outside.
I know the mice turn into carriage.
Yeah, I'd love. I mean, because it's a really. I was going to try to.
Well, let's plan on doing that because our next guest we're going to have is Mr. Peter Martin, and he's a really interesting guy. I'm not going to tell you much. We'll let him tell you when he gets on. Just a couple more minutes. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll bring him on. And
the nice thing about Peter is that this is not his main job.
It's a avocation.
Yes, this is something that he has passion about. He loves doing research. He loves, digging through the piles and finding that needle in a haystack. And usually, when you have somebody that has that passion inside, you can trust them a lot more because they've looked at all the other alternatives. It's somebody who says, "Well, it's not this. It's not this. It's not this. Here's my conclusion," and then we express the conclusions right here. You have to come to your own conclusion. We can't come to it for you. We don't want you to be a sheep. We want you to be somebody to make your own decisions.
Okay.
Well, they got to get their heads out of the mainstream media for that. That's who we have to play.
We have the music playing, and we're going to have to take a quick break. But we will be back on the other side. So those of you that are around the country and in Europe and Asia, please stand by because we're going to have Mr. Peter Martin. We're going to talk essentially about COVID, and he'll do a little bit. He's done some phenomenal research as well on global warming.
And stick around
global
with
climate change, I guess.
With Wimkin CEO Jason Shepard. He's here with us too.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Fake news and leftist commentary have left listeners looking for the truthful news, reasonable analysis, and real-life solutions to America's complex issues. Sound like an impossible task? Well, it's not. There's something new, honesty in reporting, something exciting, something that is cutting edge. Fighting Back is a Hub Radio production that takes a deep dive into the murky world of unbridled state, local, national, and international political intrigue. And of course, Fighting Back also has a softer side. Tune in every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Google Hub Radio Phoenix, click on the link, and then click on Video Live to be inspired by new perspectives on daily issues. Fighting Back, clarifying the confusion of 21st century mayhem.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It is Ray Michaels from Street Talk here, Hub Radio Phoenix, and I'm with the one, the only, Teddy Roosevelt. Hello, Teddy.
How are you? 26th President of the United States, if you didn't know.
Well, I'll tell you, you are an unforgettable character, that's for sure.
Well, I try to be memorable.
Well, everybody, if you're a child out there and you have a teddy bear, you can thank this man right here.
That's right.
Now, is that a true story?
That is a true story. There was a story that arose from my visiting the state of Missouri, and I was resolving a territorial dispute, a border dispute between the states of Missouri and an adjacent state. I forget where it was. But the people who were there knew that I was a hunter, and they prepared a bear for me to shoot. And what they had done was cruel, in my judgment. They took a immature bear, tied it up, so that I would have some sport, if you can imagine, shooting this bear. And I cried, "Untie that immature bear at once." And the story got picked up by the Washington Post, and it was read about in New York. There were actually some cartoons at the time, political cartoons, showing Teddy freeing the bear. And I was contacted by a man and a woman who had a toy store, and they thought that it would be great if they could make a new toy called Teddy's Bear, which would enable children to calm themselves so they can go to sleep. And so they wrote to me at the White House and said, "Mr. President, can we use your name, Teddy's Bear?" And I said, "Why not? Go for it. Go for it."
And the rest is history. I'll tell you that. Every child has a teddy bear. So thank you so much. But you know what? You have a brand new show coming out on Hub Radio Phoenix.
That's right. That's right. I have to prepare my taxes first, of course, but income taxes came after my administration. That was during Wilson, if you recall.
That's right. So stay tuned, because we have Teddy and the Rough Riders coming right here, Hub Radio Phoenix. This is Ray Michaels for Street Talk on behalf of Teddy Roosevelt and myself. Till next time, we'll see you real soon.
It's just bully.